Hey,
Thank you,
good
Director
morning,
Chair.
everybody. Welcome to Kickassery. This is Danny Farrar, and I am super freaking stoked that this dude decided to take some time out of his morning to BS with us a little bit. Real quick, what is Kickassery? I was just telling Danny, this is basically my opportunity to brag on amazing people in my life, whether directly they've either had a direct impact on me or they've just had an impact on me without even knowing it. And I think that's one of the cases right here. You know, Danny, I'm going to let him do his 30-second elevator pitch here in a second. But the thing is Danny's all over the place. Danny's had such an insane impact on his community, and it's gone way beyond his community. And that's super, super ridiculous. So, man, give us your 30-second. What is your elevator pitch? Who is Danny Farrar, and what do you do?
I think I'm an average guy, and what I mean by that is that most people are so worried about putting on this public persona of perfection that they don't wear their heart on their sleeves. They don't wear their mistakes. I learned a long time ago that if you actually go ahead and put all your broken pieces out there, it makes you a lot more relatable to people because they realize, especially if you found any type of success, you show them that you know what it really is never too late to start over. I didn't. Good morning, Michelle. I didn't even know what I wanted to be till I was in my mid 30s. So and I still am not totally sure I know what I want to be when I grow up. But for me, I led a very Jerry Springer life. I was adopted when I was 2 years old. I was molested by my brother and sister growing up. Um, Barely that kind of led to me being really overweight. I was almost 300 pounds at one point in time. I didn't do well in school. I actually graduated 146 out of 147. And based off of that, I honestly spent most of my life telling myself that I was stupid, which really limited a lot of the stuff that we could have accomplished. Then from there, went into the Army, took the first team into the Pentagon on 9/11 to remove remains, combat tour in Iraq from '05 to '06, over 700 convoy missions throughout the theater. Wound up homeless, got fired from my first job I ever did, which coincidentally was gym sales. Uh, First marriage fell apart. Ended up attempting suicide. Spent 3 days in the psych ward at Frederick Memorial Hospital, and that profound event obviously impacted my life. But I came out of there. Muhammad Ali once said, "It's not the mountain that gets you; it's the pebble in your shoe." And a lot of us just don't take the shoe off and let the pebble go. And so when I was in there, I said, "Hey, you know what? We got to turn this around." And that's what we did. And together as a team, I have an awesome support structure around me. I'm surround myself with great leaders who lead and mentor me. And from there, we went from being homeless and eating out of trash cans to literally one of the fastest growing companies in America, 2,644th to be exact, is recognized by Inc. 5000. We have started a concept which started off as DDT Fitness and became Soldier Fit. We have 8 gyms open. We franchise the company, 4 corporate, 4 franchise, 6 franchises in development right now. I think Oshkosh, Wisconsin, or Mount Airy, Maryland, are going to be kind of fighting to see what's going to be the next one to open. Employ over 80 people, over 3,000 members. Got a beautiful baby girl, an awesome wife, and living the dream.
Dude, that's a hell of an elevator pitch. Just saying, just putting that on the table. That's a hell of an elevator pitch. Here's the thing, Danny, and I hope you take this for what it's worth. You and I aren't buddies. You might recognize me on the street if I walk by, maybe. We've done some stuff together, sort of, kind of, and I have to be honest. When I started this whole project, um, when I first started this project, I was like, I don't know what Kickassery is going to be. I don't know what it's going to be like. And one night, I just got a wild hair up my ass because I was actually sitting with my kids, putting them to bed, and I'm sitting there on my phone waiting for my son to finally conk out. I was like, you know what? I got a wild hair up my ass. I was like, why not? I'll reach out to Danny. Danny, blah 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 blah. And like a half an hour later, you responded. You're like, oh hell yeah, let's make this happen. And dude, it freaking floored me, absolutely floored me that you would be willing to take time. And it really solidifies to me that you are on this trajectory of success that a lot of us are aspiring to. And you're just going and going and going and going. And yet, you're like, Dale, yeah, that dude. Okay, sure, why not?
Well, I can tell you, obviously I see the stuff that you put for your mornings with Dale, when you're driving into work, you got your car going. But really, as best as I can, um, I really do try to, if anybody's trying to do anything that is chasing their dream, I really do try to help any way I possibly can. And that all comes from, what was done for me. Master Mike Moses, we're here. Every year we give away the Master Mike Moses Inspiration Award. It's the highest award you can get in the company. And that guy gave me a chance when I literally I couldn't do a damn thing for him. And, every year as the company continues to grow, I'm a big believer in dance with the one who brought you. I'm a big believer in remember where your roots come from. And, I look at him, and every year as that room gets bigger and bigger, this was our first year we did a cocktail party for all the cadre. And I said, hey, listen, everybody that's in this room, all 3,000 people that are in here, they're here because one man gave me a chance, right? With no hope of real reward for him in it. And you just never know. I'm a big believer in the butterfly effect. You never know what it's how it's gonna help somebody. And if you change one person, I know people are gonna think it's trite, but if you help one person, you really can change not only their lives but the world as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. I'll tell you, one of the things with this whole kickassery thing is, like I said at the beginning, it's my opportunity to brag on people, man. And it's so funny how that has come back around for me. And I don't feel that now, granted, we don't know each other great, but Danny, I don't feel that you're a guy that is doing this to put a big feather in your hat. I don't see you, there's a little bit of that, or we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't be in front of people if we didn't get a little bit of a spark of something that fills our cup, but the thing that I've struggled with and I still struggle with internally is, and I've talked about this a lot the last couple of weeks, is arrogance versus confidence. I despise arrogance. And, the thing that I really appreciate about you and watching you in the short period of time that I've known you growing in your businesses and in your Platoon 22, and now that you're going for, a political seat, is you're just like, here it is. Here it is. This is it. And I appreciate that, man.
I tell people all the time, and listen, I swear to you, I'm not going to turn this into a Bible thumping series because I don't even know enough about the Bible to thump it, to be honest with you. I do consider myself a Christian. Again, even though I can't really quote anything in the Bible that well, but part of the reason I do consider myself that is something that you kind of talked about, is that I really do think it's absolutely impossible. The notion that kind of resonated with me was original sin. I really do think it's absolutely impossible for us to do anything from not a selfish manner. At the end of the day, what you touched on is very true. I hate when people go, I don't get nothing out of this. Stop it. Stop it. Helping people, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just acknowledge it. Accept it. Helping people makes you feel good. Yeah. And if we look at the base level of what we're all trying after, we get past what is that Maslow's like basic needs, once we eat and get water, and we want to feel good. So if you go out and you help people and it makes you feel good, that's a reward you get. Okay. So and there's nothing wrong with that. Be honest with it. I love when we're able to help somebody do it. I don't do things for materialistic value. I mean, people are going to look at me and say that I'm stupid, and I'm cool with that. I can't access none of my bank accounts. I really, truthfully don't know. I have to ask my wife. My wife sent me in to drop a check off one time, and she didn't do it anymore because I went to, and they were like, which account do you put it in? I was like, I got more than one account. I have to call my business partner to be able to log into our business account. Once you eat out of a trash can, man, your motivation is different. It just is. I don't say that from a standpoint that I'm better or than anyone else. I'm just not motivated by that. There's nothing wrong if you are motivated by money. The weird thing is I have zero doubt in my mind that at some point in time I'll be a millionaire. For me, it's a matter of fact thing, but it's not why I'm doing it. And so I try to pursue the passion of just helping people. Because I go back here, I spent most of my life telling myself I was stupid. And one of the things I'm most proud of about Soldier Fit is that, and this isn't all of our members, but so many people walk through those doors that have been looking to be a part of something bigger than themselves their entire life. They've been looking for a place where they could come in and not feel judged, that they could be accepted as who they are and for what they are. And I think part of the reason why people are able to do that is that not only myself, but members of our cadre, was with our employees, I encourage them, wear your mistakes. Be real. I mean, we have people that, have had run-ins with the law that work there. We have people that have had substance abuse problems work there. I'm like, be real, be honest. People will respect it, and you don't know who's walking in those doors because that first time you meet, you don't know what they're going through.
Yep.
So if you're real and honest with it, you may help them get over the hump.
So let me ask you a question. Wearing your skeletons on your sleeve, keeping your closet open, so to speak. I'm totally with you on that one. I've learned those lessons the hard way several times over the years. But for you specifically, let's just be honest. Let's just, humility aside for a moment. You're an owner of a highly successful business. You lobby in Washington, D.C. You have an extremely impactful and successful nonprofit that you founded and continue to run. You are, running for a political seat. You've been on cover of the magazine.
Men's Health. Yep.
Men's Health. Thank you. Sorry about that. So for a lay guy like myself, for someone from the outside that's looking at your resume, that's seeing your successes, you can be very intimidating, and how do you handle that?
Well, so the first thing I have, and no fault of you, I just want to make sure I correct one thing that you said. I no longer run Platoon 22.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I stepped off of that when I decided to pursue the political side of the house, just because I didn't ever want there to be conflict of interest. I've been very, very cognizant about that.
That's smart.
So I did want to say that. But the funny thing about the intimidation factor is that I actually, and I think people think I'm joking, but I struggle with confidence all the time.
I can understand that.
I go into a lot of situations, and it's just going to always be the case. I think if you're ever really overweight at one point in your life, I think if you've been kind of beaten down to the point that I have, you always see the fat kid in the mirror, and you always see all of your failures in the mirror. The only thing that I've been able to do is kind of keep working past those. But I sat down, and the only way I could kind of give any advice is I sat down and I still struggle with that. We have franchised the company, right? And we go through what's called a discovery day. And discovery day is the last day. They went through probably about 6 months of vetting before they actually come. They sat down with Dave and I to be either yay or nay on being awarded the franchise. And, I look at these folks' resumes, and I mean, we've got folks that run major operations. We got folks with master's and doctor's degrees. And I'm just looking at this stuff, and here I am with my, general studies associate's degree that took me like 7 years to get. And I'm like, why do you guys want to franchise? I mean, y'all are smart people, right? And so, and this is one thing that me and David talked about recently. I take for granted, and I think a lot of us do, we take for granted the talents that we do have.
Yeah.
And we take for granted the abilities that we do have. And you're your hardest critic, and you sell yourself short. The one thing that I would caution against that, and this is something that we've learned now going on 10 years in business. One place that we failed, just to be very honest, is we didn't give the proper support to some of our employees, because we took for granted that we've been doing this for 10 years and we know all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we just assume that when you come in, you know all of this stuff.
Right.
And it's actually something that we've rectified, we work at now. We're spending much more time in the training process and hands-on. But it's just learning curves, right? So you don't challenge yourself, but don't hate yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. You're so right, man. And I'm not even putting what I'm doing on the same level as you, because you've got a lot more years in it, and you've been able to multiply your efforts, which is amazing. And that's a process that I'm going through right now. And what I'm doing is I find it so, I was just talking to a mentor of mine yesterday and the other day about this, is it's so ironic to me when I reach out to people for just doing this, and they're like, "Well, I don't think I'm good enough for you." I'm sitting there going, "Good enough for me? Who the hell are you talking to?" I mean, and I struggle with self-confidence issues too, man. My self-esteem, I have to work on it every day, and it's a daily process. It really is, and I think it's so easy for us to forget, maybe that's the right way to put it, that you know what, it doesn't matter if they have a PhD, it doesn't matter if they have 50 million in the bank. Guess what, they've got shit they're dealing with on a daily basis, just like you and I. And it's so easy to put them on a pedestal, because I've done it the majority of my life, because I've been down here. I haven't given myself credit, I haven't given myself permission to say no, I'm worth. So I put myself down here and put everybody else up on a pedestal. It's so easy to do that.
One of the things when I go around, I talk to high school kids. Everybody, I equate this stuff to like a marathon, right? Not because I run marathons. I actually think running marathons is insane. The story should give you a hint the guy died at the end. But I always equate them to marathons. If you were an innovator, if you are going to do something that is actually going to revolutionize an industry, or if you're going to be a major change agent, then you have to accept that you make up 2% of the population. So your best friends, the early adopters, they only make up 15% of the population. So when you start your marathon, there's no one going to be, you got the other marathon runners that are running, that little small, little 2%, that's all who's going to be there. You're not going to even see, your first people giving you a cup of water until about miles 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And then by the time the general public kicks in, you're looking at mile, 20. And then you want all the standing ovation, that's not going to come until the end. Yeah. So, if there's one thing that I think challenges millennials, and I'm one of those guys, I actually wrote a blog about it. I hate the rap that millennials get, mostly because it's really not millennials' fault. And that probably sounds like a very millennial thing to say, but the parents that raised them, you raised them, okay? So it was a product of your leadership, coupled with the social media experiment that goes on with everything instant gratification. But, a guy I follow very much, I love his stuff, Gary Vaynerchuk. They're not built for the long game. And success isn't going to come like this. Everybody thinks Soldier Fit's an overnight success. We failed for 5 years. 5 years before we even got the boot camp concept to work.
Yep.
We didn't open our first brick and mortar location until 2013. We started the company in 2007.
Right.
So put that in perspective. Most of our growth that took place after 5 years of failure.
Well, what is it? Overnight success takes 10 years to make.
Yeah.
It's funny. People are like, "Oh my gosh," because I just started my body language thing back up again, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're doing so." Yeah, I've been working on this shit for 20 years. Yeah. I mean, I've been dealing with the self deprivation and the self issues and the confidence issues and everything else and timing in life, and you're a military guy. I'm I'm an Army wife, so we're traveling, we move all the time, so it makes it hard. And I'm hoping I'm going to be an overnight success, 20 years in the making. So I'm a little slower than the average, and I'm okay with that.
But you know what? You'll never, whenever it happens, you'll never look back and go, man, all the lead up to it sucked. I get asked, like, don't you wish Soldier Fit would have been successful sooner? Man, the no-brainer answer to that is yes. But the real answer to it is no, I don't. Because I'm going to tell you, Danny 10 years ago for sure, 5 years ago probably, I'd have burned this shit to the ground, man. I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't mature enough for it.
Yep.
We were actually just setting up at headquarters the other day, yesterday actually, and my operations, the president of my operations, Russell Duvall, pulled up a photo of like one of our last. We used to go out and party all the time, right? One of the last times that we went out and like really partied as a company, and I was like, man, we have come a long way.
Yep.
So it's stuff. I'm a big believer in faith. I'm a big believer in what you put out, you'll get. And you just got to kind of let it go its course.
So how are you? You're daddy now. How old is she now?
Two
Two,
and a half, two and a
two and a
half.
half.
Yeah.
So how are you balancing that? You have so many irons in the fire, and you're eyeball deep in your political end of things. How are you balancing all that, man?
Well, we are, again, I don't want to sound trite, man, but we're blessed. We have one hell of a support structure. Shout out to the girl we call our first child. We took a young lady in when she was 16. She still lives with us. Her name's Awen Campbell, or as Riverland, my best friend, likes to call her, Yister. She helps out a ton with River. Laura, her mom, helps out a ton with River. And then we got great grandparents, and people just love the kid. I know every parent loves their kid and thinks their kid's the awesomest. I really believe my kid's the awesomest. But what I try to focus on, and I'm not perfect at it, but I try to focus on when I am there with her, that I am there with her,
Yeah,
and I'm
present.
focused on it, and I give her a lot of attention, and I don't just, even though I do tell her she's beautiful all the time. I'll put a however comma. I don't just tell her she's beautiful all the time. When she does something we focus on that was very smart, she worked very hard to get it.
Yeah,
You put in the effort. We appreciate that, and I try to do the positive confirmation over and over again.
yeah.
I will say one thing. Not trying to sound like a wise old father, but one of the things that I learned from this whole experience is that kids are so much smarter than we give them credit for.
Amen.
At 2 years old, I read the book Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. If you haven't read it, I recommend you pick it up. But one of the things he talked about is so many of the times as parents, we lead our kids from a standpoint of what we want to do. We want their success is our success, right? And he said in that book, he said, you can get your kid to do whatever you want to do because you're bigger, you're faster, stronger, smarter, the whole 9 yards. But if you do that your entire life, when they get to their adolescence, when they really need you, they really need your guidance, they're not going to come to you because they're going to know that you are just going to manipulate them into what you want them to do. And so, I learned there was a day that, she was acting up a little bit, and, I went to put her in her room and shut her door. And my kid doesn't cry too much. And I think you can tell as a parent whether or not your kid's really crying or whether it's
the fake cry. Yeah.
Yeah. And I went to shut the door, man, and she looked up at me. She had just absolute crocodile tears coming down. And I could tell in her look in her face that she felt like I was abandoning her. And, I opened that door back up, and I remember what I read in that book. And from that moment on, I promised that I would never put her by herself like that. So I picked her up. I set her down. We went to the steps. I set her down on the top step. I sat down 2 or 3 steps below. So we were at eye level. And we talked about where the mistake had been made. And we talked about why that was a mistake. And at the end of it, we agreed. And a 2-year-old shook my hand and agreed not to do it anymore. And ever since then, I've done every coaching, if that's what you want to call it, or daddying or whatever. If there's been an issue, that's how we handle it. And the results have been outstanding. I'm sure that it's different strokes for different folks, but, if I could say anything to anybody that's going to be having kids or whatever, my little small journey along the line is don't buy the hype that your kid doesn't get you at an early age, because they really do.
Yep. And it's so crazy, man. My daughter turned 6 tomorrow. 6. My son just turned 3, and my daughter was the same way, man. She is smart like her mom. She was talking full sentences by 2 years old. She's just now in kindergarten. She's already at 2nd grade level for across the board. Blah 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 blah. I'm slightly biased, but she was the same way, man. I mean, I'd sit down with her. I'm like, listen, here's the dealio. Blah 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 blah, and she's like, okay, all right, and we'd have a conversation about it. Fast forward 2.5, 3 years, we have our son. My son is more like me than his mom. He's just going to put his head down and he's just going to go. I'm like, "Ugh," you know, and granted, first child, you have more time and you're talking to them and you're not splitting your time and blah, 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 blah. And I had to learn all that the hard way. You know, of course, conceptually, we understand, we listen, we read. You know, I don't feel that I'm a dumb guy. I'm not the smartest on the block. But until I got in the middle of it, and I'm just like, why can't you be like your sister? That was so much easier. You know, but at the same time, though, is that he's just a blockhead and he's got a ridiculous pain tolerance and he's just going to go full force. But if I can, like you said, if I can get his attention, if I can get him settled down, because he has a temper like I do. And when it goes off, it's off. And you have to wait for it to burn out before anything gets done, right? But sit him down. I'm like, his name's Lawson. Lawson, listen, you did this. That was not okay. Here's the consequences. And I try my hardest, Danny, and I don't succeed every day, but I try really hard to make my children make their own choice. You have option A, you have option B. Which do you choose? You know, because something that I learned a long time ago from 4-H mentors when I was a kid, was if you give kids the opportunity to make the right choice, almost every time they're going to make the right choice. But we as an adult, and you already touched on this, we as adults have to educate them as to the consequences to their choices. And as soon as we do that, dude, it's a beautiful thing, man. And I'm not saying I'm a child whisperer. I'm still figuring this crap out, you know, but as soon as we do that, it's amazing how they're just like, oh, okay. It's amazing. And I never thought I was going to be a dad. So this is all a freaking crazy experiment to me anyway. So
It's hands down the best thing that you can become. And if I think if you do it and you actually try to do it right, and everybody obviously hopes the kids grow up to be better than you.
Yeah.
You can lay your head and know that you did the most important thing you were supposed to do when you came on earth.
Right. You know, and the other thing that I love working with teenagers. That's one of my favorite age groups in the world. I'd rather work with teenagers than adults most days. And the thing that I love seeing is when youth are present enough. That's one thing you already talked about, is being present, being right here, right now. It's so easy for us to be distracted. Is being present and seeing kids being present, and for them to choose to change legacy, the negative legacies. It seems to me like you've changed a negative legacy in your life. You are a very aware, you're a present dad. You're making healthy choices, on and on and on. So I applaud you for being present enough and having the balls enough to change that legacy.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, here's the one thing that I think we do lose sight of. So I get paid to come in and publicly speak, for businesses or what have you. I get asked to come in and speak at schools. And, I always tell folks, by paying me to come in and speak, you don't even realize you're establishing the fact that, and I have a huge paranoia of being a douchebag, so I always get concerned when I say the next sentence. But you're admitting that what I did isn't the norm, and
Okay.
you're admitting that it's an outlier. So when people go, and I understand it, but nothing's ever black and white, right? When people go, well, so and so rose above their situation and became successful, and so everyone can do it. There is some fact to that, and there is some fiction to that. In that there are levels to this, right? Our resilience level is different amongst people. Pain tolerance is different among people. Innate ability is different amongst people. And so we see things like, one of the things that I always hate is how people kind of go after, and I really do feel that, especially in today's age, that businesses are attacked, right? Businesses are attacked because there's this whole notion of there's, too much profit or whatever. Listen, right. I don't even make the most of my company, okay? Period. I mean, that's just a fact. I don't. I am not the highest paid employee in the company. what most folks don't grasp that have never run a business, have been part of it, they don't understand how many different hats you have to wear at one time. You know, let's take our industry. I'm not even close to the best personal trainer. Not even a smidgen. I don't even touch the best personal trainer's shoes that they threw away last year. That's the reality, right? But if you're the best personal trainer, that doesn't mean that you should open a personal training business. And this is where so many people get jammed up, right? Because one of my most, and I'm a big quote guy, but a quote that I absolutely can't stand is, if you don't build your dreams, someone else will pay you to build theirs. As if to say that being an employee is somehow, it's a bad thing, or you're less than the entrepreneur.
No,
it's not that at all. It is a different skill set. And I'm always amazed that people, like, if I were to stand up and go on Facebook right now and go, hey guys, with busted back, no knees, really no athletic ability at all, and 165 pounds, I'm going to try out for the offensive line for the New England Patriots. People would be like, you are an idiot. Like, there's zero possibility on it.
Right.
Now, mind you, the New England Patriots can charge me $10 for a soda, $15 for a hot dog, and however much for tickets. And everybody thinks that, oh, that's cool. That makes total sense. Like, yeah, you're not good enough to play for the New England Patriots. On something like sports, we just accept that. That's not a big deal. Of course, there's levels to it, right? Everybody that plays football throughout America is not going to play in the NFL. Actually, it's an exceedingly small percentage.
Yes, very much so.
We're cool with it. But when there comes this notion that not everybody is going to be able to own a business, not everybody has the skill set for it. And then within your businesses, there's going to be levels of that, right? There's going to be levels of success within that. These people get mad at these major, successful business owners or successful, or major companies. And people are like, we'll take things like Walmart. And I know it's a touchy subject for folks, but listen, man, if mom and pop grocery stores was what people really wanted, guess what would be? It would be mom and pop grocery stores. There was a transition that you can read the book From Good to Great. What happened with Kroger. Kroger was an example of this. They did the studies on the population, and they gave the population what they wanted. We have what we asked for. And that's, whether people like it or not, the majority asked for this. And, it's actually the next blog that I'm going to write is, we somewhere in society, I don't know when it happened, we started to assume that the size of someone's paycheck was equal to their value as a person. And nothing could be farther from the truth. Nor does it mean that just because you don't make a lot of money, that you're not a vital part of the team. So the way that I'm going to explain this in my blog is that I call it the lug nut rule, right? The lug nut, if you look at a set of lug nuts, you can get them for $26 on Amazon, right? Indy race car costs $650,000 to field. That lug nut that costs you $26 doesn't seem like that big of a deal in a $650,000 car. Right. What happens when the lug nut falls off?
Right.
And you lose your wheel. You crash and you burn.
Yeah. So
the lug nut has value. It has a ton of value. But it still doesn't justify making that lug nut cost $650,000 to do it.
Right.
So we were going around to our locations, and we had an employee that said they worked the front desk for us, and she said, "Well, I want to take everything that's too small for the barracks commander to deal with off their plate." And I stopped her in that moment. I said, "Please, never say anything is too small for anyone else. I can pick up a broom and I can sweep the floor as easy as anyone else can, and I'll do that." We just had different roles. Yeah. The barracks, our roles aren't different. My job now is to work on the business, to grow the business, and make sure there's opportunities for people moving forward. The barracks commander's job is to go out and sign up new members, and they do their job so the trainers have clients to train. And the clients and the trainers do their job, run great classes so the barracks commanders can sign people up. And the front desk person makes sure that all of these things happen. and they have a smile on their face when people come in. It's a very, everyone has a certain role to play,
Yep.
but each one generates revenue and thus at different rates and thus warrants different pay structure. What you make isn't equal to your worth as a person. I really wish we would accept that as a society, because I think we could move forward a lot better with it, and we wouldn't have this concern about worth that we do.
Well, and very, dude, I love how you put that, and that's something that I've struggled with in corporate America. Well, shoot, even small business, it is, and we need to wrap this up so you can get going. But you touched on something, is that another piece of that is when we'll use salespeople as a perfect example. You have a stellar sales guy that he's just kicking ass, and she's just making all the records. So you're like, oh, well, this amazing salesperson is awesome. So now we're going to turn them into the sales trainer. But they're not a trainer.
Yeah.
They're a salesperson. They're a communications person. They're a relationship building person. That's their thing. That's their niche. That's what they're successful at. But they suck at teaching other people how to do it. That's not their lot in life. That's not their skill set. And yet, for whatever reason, we as a business society, I guess, I don't have a better way to put it, is that we just think, oh, well, you're amazing at this, so I'm going to put you in management.
Yeah.
No. Now, if they have that skill set and you've identified they have that skill set and they do work, fabulous. Now it's like a trifecta. But if they don't, you're screwing everything up. And we have a tendency of doing that. And I think we as employees have this tendency of going, well, I need to work myself up the ranks. I need to. Well, like you said, if you have the skill set to do that, great. But if your skill set is right where you're at, make whatever you're doing the best it ever ridiculously could be and run with it, But I think too many companies put us in boxes and they just don't allow us to have that opportunity, and it's a little frustrating. But man, I promised I was going to get you out here about 9:30, and it's a couple minutes after, so I lied to you, man. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No. Danny, man, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I know you hear this all the time, and I'm kind of on the coach here, but dude, you are making a great impact. You have really encouraged me without ever saying a word to me, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you reaching out and let me take up some of your time this morning. One last, give you just a couple seconds here. Any advice for us? What's your last thoughts, man? Right off the dome.
I do want to say thank you to Ms. Miller for checking in and watching the show.
Yeah.
You support us, Soldier Fit, so God bless you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you helping me put food on my family's plate. The one thing I would just say, man, is that ignore the naysayers. Don't focus on the negative. I mean, you look at the political side that I'm in now, and we all say we don't care what other people think. We care. We all care.
Yeah.
But you see this thing that, on the political side, there's folks that don't know me from Adam, literally don't know a thing about me. And because there's an initial in front of my name, they dismiss me and they hate me. You can't focus on it. You really have to look around. You have to see that. I would say almost everybody, I'm sure Charles Manson wasn't an example of this, but almost everybody has way more people that love you and support you in what you're trying to do than those one or two people that have nothing better to do than tear you down. I mean, I just literally don't do it. If I got something negative that I don't like about a person, I change the channel. Just, I get nothing from detracting from other people. So those people that, do detract from you, not that they disagree with you, there's a difference.
Yeah.
People being giving you constructive criticism, that's not a bad thing. If people are doing it in a vile, hurtful, negative way, and just change the channel, because you're not going to change your mind. They're not going to listen to you. They're not going to be open to debate. And never chase bad money using good money.
Amen. All right, Danny, I appreciate you guys. Everybody else, Danny, when you get a chance, and I know you got to run, when you get a chance, would you put your contact info down in the comments somewhere when you get an opportunity later today? 100%. I'd appreciate that, so people can reach out and touch bases with you and kind of keep track of you a little bit more. Guys, I appreciate everyone. We're going to let Danny go. And, Danny, you have an amazing day. I appreciate your time. And just keep kicking ass, man.
You too, brother. Take care.
All right. Take care, guys.